Hello, we are Group 6 from the class English 3060, and we are here to present our formal proposal to the YMCA. So let's start with some introductions. My name is Yash Kandapali. I'm a student at Wayne State University. I used to be a previous employee at the YMCA. I was a coach, I worked the before and aftercare programs, and I was also a summer camp counselor. Although I don't work there anymore, I am still in contact with many of my previous employees there, and I still follow their programs. For this project, I acted as the liaison for this project between the staff members of the YMCA and my group. So I allowed for there to be communication within each other.
My name is Mark Howes. I am a mechanical engineering student at Wayne State University. I also have a bachelor's degree in science education from Wayne State and been teaching the last 4 years. I have been involved in several research projects throughout my time in undergrad and in my professional career. For this project, I have been involved in researching grant options that we could propose the YMCA uses.
Hi, I'm Shadi Kasem, and I attend Wayne State University. I'm an electrical engineering student. And my experience in this space comes from my earlier years in high school when I was on the board of executives for two very well-known national clubs called BPA, Business Professionals of America, and DECA, Distributive Educational Club of America. Both clubs were competition-based and pertained to conducting primary and secondary research on a few different aspects of business such as marketing, finance, and supply chain, then using that information to prepare a business model for a company we create. These were in-depth business plans which took months to research and develop. And to add to that, since I was president of BPA and vice president of DECA, one of my responsibilities in district operations was funding for the club. One of the ways I did this was by reaching out to multiple local businesses such as restaurants who agreed to give us a percentage of the profit made from sales on a given day. They agreed to do this because I proposed to the restaurant manager that this would also be beneficial to his business in the way that the club's advertisement gave them exposure and so showed consumers that they were supporting the youth by helping the club send students to competitions which took place out of state. These experiences are directly correlated to the work we have done for the YMCA, just on a grander scale.
Hello, my name is Ahmed Hamoud, and my task within our group will be focusing on the financial side of the YMCA. I'm currently a senior at Wayne State University studying electrical engineering, and I have a lot of background within business and finance through classes I've taken. I also have just received a certificate for financial management and have some real-world work experience when dealing with funding and how to cut costs properly. Now on to Shadi Kasem for the introduction.
So today we'll be presenting the YMCA Plymouth branch's financial issues. They're not getting enough money to support all the programs they have, such as the youth programs and all that. And we're helping look into some solutions by exploring some grant options from some very charitable organizations. The main solution we'll be going into detail about is looking into grants to get additional funding for the YMCA. And some recommendations we have for some additional improvement to the organization would be for them to hire someone with the position where the position is to just look for grants to get to the YMCA and increase their funding, and with a goal to get about 5 to 6 grants per week, because the average is about 2 per week, and as of now that's not cutting it for them. The layout of this presentation is going to be starting with Yash. He's going to be giving some background information. Mark is going to be going on to explaining some grant options we discovered for the YMCA. I will be explaining the timeline and displaying the funding allocation and giving some detail on that. And then we'll conclude with Ahmed giving the current and future funding options. And now I'm going to pass it over to Yash.
So about some background information for the YMCA. It was founded in 1844 and has been around the United States community for over 170 years. And being a nonprofit, they are continuously trying to give everyone the best resources for healthy living and for educational purposes as well. The YMCA puts all of its income that it receives into its programs, facilities, and staff members. and they pride themselves into being affordable for all families so that everyone can join their programs regardless of the household income. Because of this, most of their finances come in the form of grants. The reason that the YMCA needs these grants is that so they can provide the youth members with a variety of activities and resources to ensure that they are having not just an enjoyable time, but also learning about things both in and outside of the classroom. Not just math, science, and arts, and like the educational part, but also core values, morals, and ethics as well. In order for the YMCA to achieve these goals, the YMCA uses the funding from grants to help them afford more resources for their programs. And the number one way that the YMCA uses to help children learn more about these things and by going on in the real world is by educating the youth through STEM activities. STEM stands for science, technology, electronics, and mathematics. So this includes using tools such as a Makey, which I'll go into more detail in the next slide, basic computer programs like NXT and We Do Lego Kits, which incorporates programming into building Legos, and also other kinds of scientific experiments such as learning about gravity, chemistry, nature, etc. So it's necessary for them to get these activities to help them learn about real world applications and real world technology, because technology is always growing to this day. In order to keep the members physically fit and healthy, it's also very important to have them physically active as possible. Through sports and games, kids enjoy running around, keeping their bodies moving, resulting in more physically fit children. It's a very important time in our world right now to fight child obesity, and YMCA is part of that fight. This is the primary goal of the YMCA, and this is what it's been encouraging since it's been found. It is critical to ensure that every child enjoys provided activities so that they aren't just standing around and watching while other kids get to play. It's for everyone to have a good time and participate is also a key goal for the YMCA. As well as STEM activities, experiments, and physical activity, arts and crafts are the best way for kids to be able to express their creative side. Not everything should be about scientific experiments and running around, since every child is different. Art is a very beautiful way for them to express themselves, especially because of subjectivity. The cool thing about art is that all you technically need is some drawing utensils and paper, but in the next slide, I'll be explaining why this doesn't always work after some time and why more resources are critical in order to have all of these things, arts, science and technology, electronics and math experiments, and sports. You need money and funding in order to provide the most optimal time for the children. As I stated previously, I was a former employee of the YMCA, so I have a lot of personal experience with all these financial problems in regards to these activities. It is important to hit all the aspects that I stated previously, not just one. Not because STEM is to make them smarter and understand technology more. Arts and crafts helps the children explore their minds in more depth and learn many things about their peers and themselves. And also being able physically fit is very important for children to fight childhood obesity. Some kids prefer physical activity, some kids prefer the art, and other kids prefer science experiments. So a big problem that I faced while I was working there was that the lack of resources did not allow us to have activities that every single child enjoyed. Now, I know it's impossible to make every single person happy, but the goal of the YMCA is to make all of them feel involved and give them the opportunity to have a good time and also learn something while they're doing it. While working there, a big thing in regards to the STEM problems was there was a lack of something called a Makey. A Makey is a technological advancement that is catered towards children, where they have a circuit board and multiple circuits, and they connect it to something such as a banana, a potato, or just something silly like that. And it was by far the most fun thing and most popular thing among the campers. The problem was we only had one set, and only one child can use it at a time. And the YMCA didn't even provide it. It was a staff member that already owned it that brought it in. Now, this is something that teaches kids about programming and how currents work and how static electricity works. But unfortunately, we couldn't not every child could enjoy it because we didn't have the time, and we had 150 kids trying to work with one item. So that if we had more resources, we'd be able to afford more of these makey-makeys or other kinds of scientific experiments. Another thing while working at the YMCA, I noticed there was the lack of computers and programming and Lego kits. And all these things are great ways to teach kids about modern technology. As I stated previously, technology is always growing. So to get these kids up to speed on what's going on and learn more and more about it as they grow older is very important for them to start understanding the world more. Another problem that I noticed while I was working there was the lack of proper sports equipment and just a lot of outdoor equipment in general. Because summer camp it lasts for around 13 weeks, and after the first couple weeks you start playing the same game. You start playing games, and then eventually you'll start playing the same games over and over again. Because of this, kids do not put effort into playing these physical games, these physical activity games, and they get bored. And even if you can change the games around a little bit, most of the time it was a similar game with a small twist. When this happens, the campers tend to get bored and they don't want to run around as much, and a lot of them would just sit around, complain, and it's just none of it's happy for anybody. If we had the resources, the YMCA would be able to provide multiple kinds of activities that they could provide a different type of sport or different items and resources for them to do every week. Therefore, the kids are always excited and they're always running around and being physically active. And it's not just for the children, but it helps out for the staff as well. A final problem is the lack of arts and crafts equipment. Yes, children can take a pencil and paper and draw, but it doesn't fully allow them to express themselves in a way that they can. So having resources for all of these things will help them be able to learn more and be more physically active than they were previously. Because if children get bored and they don't want to come in, then they won't want to return, and that also hurts the income, and they'll be less likely to receive funding for other fun activities. So, as well as doing a lot of research, our group collected a lot of information from the manager at the Plymouth YMCA branch, his name is Corbin Reeves. When starting this project, we were given a list of problems by Corbin, and we decided to tackle the financial problems that they were having. In order to learn more about this, I decided to interview Corbin, which gave us the information that I will now share. At the conclusion of the interview, Corbin confirmed our suspicions that the lack of finances is what is YMCA's largest problem. We realized that one of the best ways to combat this is by bringing in larger grants for them to use towards their programs. Now here is Mark, who will be discussing grant options.
As we mentioned earlier in this presentation, our proposal is intended to help the YMCA with their financial problems. We began with a broad range of options, from looking into their financial decisions to looking for partners. After consideration and talking with the manager at the YMCA Plymouth branch, we decided we should focus on looking for grants that could help the YMCA. I researched many different grant options that the YMCA could use. They needed to be grants for nonprofit organizations because the YMCA is a nonprofit. In addition, I looked for grants that are intended for what the YMCA stands for: healthy living and community involvement for all. So I narrowed down the grant options to 3 that I will discuss in more detail in the next several slides. The first grant option that I narrowed the list down to is the Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan. I thought, what better organization could help the YMCA than a healthcare provider? This grant is one that offers up to $75,000 for one grant option. They also include smaller grant options that could also be included for the YMCA. Their mission is to provide assistance to nonprofit organizations that promote health and dealing with community issues. The YMCA wants to be involved in the community. According to the grant requirements on the Blue Cross Blue Shield website, our funding targets behavioral health, substance use disorders, obesity, and community issues. Therefore, we thought that the Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan would be a great starting point while looking into potential grant options. The second grant option that I narrowed down my options after doing my research is a Walgreens charitable donations. We believe this is another excellent option to help the YMCA with their financial problem.
As with Blue Cross Blue Shield, this donation looks into promoting health and community involvement. We couldn't find the specific amounts of money that this donation would consist of, but we considered this because of what they're